we need to talk. If you're a Pinoy millennial, chances are your journey to 40 isn't like your parents. Ours, it's kind of a mixed bag, you know? It's a mixed bag of late night hustles, side hustles, wearing multiple hats, heartbreaks, traffic, small victories, to stitch together a life worth telling. Oh, by the way, or my manners. I'm Chase. Just like you, just navigating the messy balance of life, being an executive during the day, a dad, a kuya, a friend, and someone who's just really trying to make sense of this thing, it's called this thing called midlife. It's September 2025, is it? Yeah. I'm here in my study, coffee in hand. I can't help but reflect on this whole midlife situation that we are all in, or most of us are in. It's not the glossy checklist that our elders handed down to us, but it's this messy, chaotic, beautiful mess and heart-tugging journey that we call the midlife, and redefining what it really means to make it as millennials in the Philippines. This time, it's just a reflection. It's not about stats or strategies. It's about us, our stories, the quiet victories that light up our lives, no matter how mundane they seem. I remember being 20, like most of us. It's not like I'm a, it's not like I'm a mushroom or something, but most of us coming out of college, fresh out of college, thinking, 40, 40 might be the day, might be the stage where I have everything figured out. A house with a gate, a family straight out of a commercial, and a job title that your elders could brag about at reunions, and but that was the script, right? Let's get a degree, land a stable job, and marry your childhood sweetheart, buy a house, and be set by 40. It's like a teleserie, with a predictable happy ending of sorts. But life, boy, man, did it have other plans. But somewhere along the way, the economy, our past bad habits, bad judgment, laughed at our savings or lack of it. Rent ate half our paychecks, and stable started feeling like a pipe dream or a trap for some of us. I've had nights where I just lay awake, wondering why I didn't have that house yet, or why my career felt like a treadmill. You're just running hard, but really going nowhere. And I know for a fact that I'm not alone. We've all felt that pang, that sort of whisper asking, bakit parang kulang pa rin? You know what I mean? But here's what I've come to see. I don't think we're falling short. We're just rewriting our story. The modern Pinoy midlife isn't about owning a condo in BGC or having a family photo framed by friggin' 40 candles. It's about the courage to live on your own terms in a world that's tougher than, haggling for a kilo of ribs at the market. I keep thinking of, a good old friend of mine who at 38 gave up, chasing a corporate promotion to start a tiny bakery. There's no big capital, just this Lola Sensei Mada, and a lot of balls, and a bit delusional in a sense. He's not a large, bakery chain by any stretch, but I love it when when we catch up and he talks about his suke, and tells me that his suke's family, loves his pastry, and his face just lights up like a Christmas tree. And to me, that's a milestone, not a mortgage. Or a cousin of mine who at 40, chose to stay single, not because he didn't have game. I mean, this guy has been around. Let's get that straight, but more of because he found his peace in his own company. He sort of found his purpose by mentoring kids in his neighborhood, getting them off the streets, giving them, sort of, a bit of purpose too, by giving them side hustles or, giving them, mentoring them, just for, a better outlook and get them out of the hood. And he calls his family well, he calls his barkada his family. You know, those kind of things to me aren't, they're not failures, man. They're victories. We just don't brag about enough. You know, what's changed for us really? I mean, our generation, the millennials, we grew up in the shadow of dial-up internet, and wow, Jesus Christ, anyone remember that? Oh man, what a terrible mess. I got scammed into that thing too. And the 2008 crash, only to get hit by the pandemic 11 years later that turned most of us into indoor plant experts and, horticulturalists, horticulturists. I don't know how you say that. Or chefs, seemingly overnight. Why? Because hustle is in our DNA, man. It's in our culture. It's in our blood. It's what defines us, as a nation. The trademark Pinoy grit, you know, the old milestones, house, spouse, kids, they feel like relics when you're juggling food budgets, jobs and family expectations every day. I used to think not having a house by 30 meant I was behind. But when I met people like you, the working class, the wonder kids, the desk jockeys, the MS Office wizards, the freelancers, the call center agents, the super moms, the super dads, saving for their parents' meds, their kids' futures or their own futures, teachers building communities, young entrepreneurs betting on dreams over their desk jobs. Man, you're not behind. You're defining what ahead means. It's not just about a title, or a deed. It's about the moments that make your heart full. It's like taking your mom to Boracay for the first time or finally saying no to a toxic boss. But here's the thought that keeps me up. Are we late because we haven't hit the old markers, or are we free because we've chosen our own? Our society loves its yardsticks, weddings, properties, kids, but we're measuring life by different stars now. I see it in the way we prioritize mental health. Even the Gen Zers are into this. They say, we all say, I need a break without shame, in the way we build found families with friends who feel like blood, and the way we chase purpose, whether it's a startup, a cause, or just being there for our kids' school plays. But it's not easy, our pakikisama pulls us to please everyone. Tita's asking, kailan ka mag-aasawa, bakit ka tumaba, that kind of thing, or parents expecting us to just fund everything, and social media, oh, dear Lord. It's a highlight reel that makes our quiet wins feel small, but they're not. Every peso you save, every boundary you hit, every dream you keep alive, that's your 40 before 40. So how do we do better? Well, I think we should just stop apologizing for our path, We lean into the messiness of our journey, knowing it's ours. Let's celebrate the small stuff, man. The late nights with, late night talks with siblings, the movie marathons with your partners, your kids, the side hustle that's barely making it or that's almost breaking even. The courage to rest when the world screams, get to work. Let's talk about that too. Share our stories, not to compete, but to connect. I don't know, man. In our culture, we hide our struggles to save face, or most of us dumbly think it's not cool, but there's power in saying, I'm still figuring it out. I've learned that from you. Every Quintuan with each amazing human being I come across every day, shows me we're not alone. We're a generation of dreamers who've turned bahala na into kaya na yan. You know what I mean? Or kaya yan. We've defined ourselves by being defiant of being mediocre. As most of us weren't blessed with proper parental support, when we needed that the most in our development during our youth. But hey, as most of us know by now, a lot of us took that challenge head on, grabbed it by the balls and succeeded, big or small. We did it. We did it anyways. So I guess at this point, as we march toward 40, to some that are already in it, you old bastards, you know who you are. I love you guys. But let's just hold this thing close to our hearts. Our milestones aren't delays, they're declarations. You're not just a musician, you're not just a mom, you're not just a dad or a clerk, an EA, a nurse, a call center agent. You're a story of resilience, a spark of grit, and a heart that refuses to stop beating. You know what I mean? Your 40 before 40 might be a quiet night with yourself, a new hobby, such as this one that I can't seem to figure out, a new skill or a family moment that, that you just want to put on pause forever. Whatever it is, it's enough. You're enough. So, man, let's just keep crafting the lives that sing our own songs, not someone else's. So with that, here's to our 40s, our way. Stay strong, man. Keep your head up. And salamat for watching.